When a big console game was coming out, the move back in the day was to also make a version for the handheld consoles. Given that these systems were far less powerful, developers had to often create an entirely new experience using the same name as the console game. This practice hasn't been done in a long time, mostly due to handhelds now having console power, but back then, these were very common. Most of these versions ended up being usually far less than the console versions were. However, there's always an exception to the rule, and there's plenty of these handheld games that are just straight up better than the console version it's based on. And as you can tell, one of these games is... After the neat little intro animation, you're basically thrust immediately into the first level. Really. It's a basic level, and it serves its purpose for getting you used to the game. And the game is a fast-paced 2D platformer that keeps you on your toes, and it's pretty fun. Basically, if you've ever played or know how the Sonic Rush Adventure games work, then this is pretty much that but tweaked to feel the best. Oh, and there's also the homing attack too, you know, where Sonic homes in onto an enemy if you press the jump button while in the air. In my opinion, it's not as cool in 2D as it is in 3D, but it's still nice to have here, and more so because you can use it on the capsules in this version. So, you know, that's very nice. But if this is supposed to be a Sonic Rush game, more so Sonic Rush 3, well, where's the boost? You know, the thing that defines those games?
Be sure to enjoy your stay at Flaming's Interstellar Amusement Park. No refunds allowed.
He sure loves to talk, doesn't he?
I mean, it is an interstellar amusement park, so it makes sense why I'd be excited.
Yeah, but doesn't this feel fishy? Flaming is the kind of person to do the least amount of work. Have you seen the sheer amount of times he's just lazing around with a can of Baja Blast?
I have not.
So after the whisk goes inside Sonic, fuses with Sonic, you get the ability to boost. I really like how you get this in the cutscene after the first level because it feels very natural in terms of progression. Either way, the boost is self-explanatory. Press the button and Sonic will go zoom all over the level. Though it's only best used in segments where you know it's safe because doing this all the time will get you killed. And there's also a limit to it, so you know, don't use it all the time. Even though it's rather easy to refill it because you know there's capsules all over the level, there's enemies scattered throughout, so on and so forth. But either way, I honestly think the boost is the best implemented in this game because it not only gives this game the sense of thrill and speed, but it manages to keep the balance between speed and platforming while not leaning too much into either, like Sonic Colors and Sonic Advance 2. You both should take notes. After that second act is complete though, it's time for the boss. Wait a second. What's that green thing on the map?
Syntax error, of course.
Dude, I feel amazing right now. I feel like I can run forever.
So nothing's changed.
You prick.
Get back here, you little rascals. I haven't scooped you all up yet.
I should stop them. Yep, side quests. 3 per zone to be exact, and these are entirely optional, but I like to play these entirely because of the cameos and interactions with the other characters as well. In the case of the zone, Tropical Resort, you get to interact with Queen the Rabbit. That's another cool thing with this version, by the way. It brings all these characters back as cameos during these missions, and it's nothing mind-blowing, but I'm an absolute sucker for flavor text, so it's a win to me. Not to mention that this just makes the park and whole environment feel like, you know, an actual environment with these characters visiting it. Looking at you, console versions, again. Anyways, she's getting harassed by these 2 dumb bots over here, and you basically just defeat enemies and chase them away. The mission is fine, nothing really special, but it's a nice side thing to do, and you do get to listen to these sick tunes, so it's worth it. After that, bullying is eradicated, and it's time for the boss fight.
So you're telling me you couldn't fill the alien quota?
Those little varmints keep getting away, boss. And I don't care.
Then start caring! And what's with your voice? Did the chip break again?
No, sir. I'm speaking like this to have what little fun I can with this job.
Told you there was a plot behind this. Pay up.
But I didn't bet.
I don't have time for this. Go, my giant robot!
Good luck, I guess. You better hope you can live through this.
So in terms of Sonic Rush, bosses have always been a mixed bag. The first Rush game had these awful waiting game bosses where you literally just hit it once, dodge attacks, hit it again, and it just repeats, and it was so annoying. I always set the difficulty to easy when playing Rush because it made the bosses die in 6 hits rather than 8. And in the next game, Rush Adventure, they actually improved the bosses to make it so you could just hit them whenever they're in range, and they were just more fun. So what does Colors DS do? Basically what Rush Adventure did, thank God. The first boss is this globe robot thingy. I don't know, it probably has a official name, but I don't remember it, nor do I care. But anyways, you basically just have to run around this 3D circular arena and then hit it. It's simple and a quick boss, but I'm not complaining. With the first zone done, what's next? Man, this entire place looks like my dreams.
If your dreams involve sugar comas, then sure.
Oh hey, kinda surprised to see you here. Didn't think other people would actually come here.
I mean, it is the biggest amusement park ever. It's easy to see why people would come here.
Anywho, did you come across one of those aliens? They come in different colors and... So every new zone you go to, there's basically a new wisp that becomes the focus of the zone. Though it's worth noting that if you go back to some of these zones after unlocking more wisps, the world map will show 2 wisps for these zones, obviously meaning you can discover new areas of the zones, or levels in them, whatever. Either way, the wisp of focus in this zone, Sweet Mountain, is the burst wisp. Basically this huge ball of fire that can burst, through enemies. If you hold the button to burst long enough, you can basically just screen nuke all the enemies, but you know, there's a time limit like the boost, so use it wisely, cause it's even shorter. Regardless, the burst whip is just mindless fun, and it's like the boost but airborne and on crack, so you know, you gotta love it. It's also exclusive to this version, so take that Wii. Going back to the Wii zone, it's as the name suggests, a mountain full of diabetes. There's candy everywhere, sweet cannons, you name it. The second act gets a little bomb crazy too, but you know, with the jelly bean rockets and the works, but you know, this game just does a really good job when it comes to looks, but I'll touch more on that later. As for the mission, oh shit, it's Blaze the Cat. For those in the unknown, she was basically the second character when it came to the Rush series, basically the other poster girl of the series, whatever. The first game was basically her debut, so you know, that's cool, despite the fact she didn't really make many appearances beyond that, but she's still a fan favorite to this day, and well, it's really easy to see why. Princess from another dimension has fire powers, can kick ass. Maybe I'm letting my nostalgia take over a bit too much, but regardless, despite her status, she wasn't going to be a playable character in this game due to being based on a game that was strictly Sonic only, so I don't know why people expected that. It does sting, yeah, given the fact that this game is basically Sonic Rush 3, but it's nice they didn't forget her. And in the second mission, you meet Silver, and basically he was Blaze's partner or something along those lines. I've never really played Sonic 06 and I don't plan to. Please leave me alone. You rescue Wisp for this mission, and then in the third mission, they're both together and you stomp the dumb bots. You also have to like beat the level in a time limit, so on and so forth. Again, there's not much to say on these missions themselves otherwise, but the character interactions do make these worth it. Plus the time mission might be my favorite out of the bunch. And the boss for the zone are these jolly mateys. I'm not sorry. Anyways, this boss is pretty simple like the first one. You just dodge their attacks and then use them to your advantage to hit the boss. Rinse and repeat to win. Though with this zone, you'll start to notice that a common thing with these bosses that they get absolutely destroyed with any of the wisps.
I get why you like this place, but isn't it a bit too bright?
Please, I've suffered worse. This entire zone ain't even an attack on my eyes.
Tell that to your eyesight.
Hey,
I agree with Burn Knives. This area is a bit bright.
that's what you two get for not wearing glasses.
Hey yo.
Right, screw this.
Out of all of the zones, this has to be my absolute favorite in pretty much every category. Looks, gameplay, music, you name it. The entire level really does feel like you're invading a fleet in space. And it's a carnival, I guess, but whatever. Sure, the other games in the series have done this better, like the whole like raiding a fleet, but this is still pretty damn good. The main wisp of the focus here for this zone is... yeah. This whip is very much a one-time thing, like you just press a button and Sonic will go flying upwards for a bit and free fall. The most you really have to do in terms of use for this is just time it properly, but this is definitely one of the more simple ones, and it's not bad because it's just a very much use and move on kind of deal compared to the others so far, but Man, I cannot stress enough how much I love how this entire zone looks. This game applies to the whole game really, because it takes the whole Interstellar amusement park theme and it just rolls with it. Sure, I'd prefer something more like 2D spreadshirt rather than 3D models if I had to be picky. Hell, it's why I think the Sonic Advance series are some of the best looking games in the franchise, but hey, I still love the low poly 3D look this game goes for, alongside mixing some sprites with it too, so you know, it still keeps the overall look of the game and it doesn't destroy anything, so mission accomplished. For this mission, it's Rouge and Knuckles. Some funny shenanigans ensue, but you basically collect rings in a time limit for Rouge, beat enemies for Knuckles, cause you know, they're characters. A very nice touch I think, but I'm not sure. And then for the final mission, you just free Wisp from the dumb bots again or something. Boom, side quest complete. Like I said before, there's nothing really to say about these missions themselves, but it's very nice to see Knuckles and Rouge just butt heads and being playful with each other. And I love how I entered that Rouge tricked Knuckles into coming to the park, and then Sonic tries to comfort him by saying, at least it wasn't Eggman. It doesn't help, but you know, that's what friends are for. He tried. And as for the boss in this zone, it's just like this huge airship with guns that you have to chase. I've seen a lot of people get frustrated at this boss, and some people even just quit the game because of this, and I do agree that at first it can be frustrating, but once you figure out how this boss works, it's pretty good actually. Sure, it's more challenging than the previous two bosses, but I certainly don't mind that. And with that being said, this game is about halfway done. So far so good, right?
Oh, it's still not enough energy. Why don't we have any yet?
Probably because there's a red dude busting up all your generators. And also because we're not doing our jobs.
No matter. As long as I still have my trump card, nothing can ever stop me.
If there wasn't an evil plot to save, I would love to just lie down on the grass and zone out.
Honestly, same.
Hello Snicks?
You know, I wouldn't mind living here.
You think so?
I mean, what could possibly...
Personally, I would still love to live here.
Well, time for the worst one in the game. Okay, well, it's not that bad, but it certainly doesn't leave me with a good impression. But why? Well... yeah. Design-wise, I don't really mind this zone all too much. It's still fun, but it's just that the Wisp drags everything down for me. Like, not only do I hate it because of how irritating the sound becomes of it, but it's just ass. Like, I swear, controlling this thing feels like a total shot in the dark. Sometimes it'll actually feel like I have control, but most of the time, I'm just ricocheting between rocks all the time. And it's just, ugh. Other than that though, this yellow blemish thing in the zone, it's still solid. Since this planet is like where the Wisps live, it's this lush green environment that's being invaded by workers, because Eggman. And it's a team that's not my favorite, but it's up there, and the music is also really good too. Well, when you can actually hear it. For this mission, or this zone's mission, whatever, we meet with the Chaotix. Haven't seen you since... oh... The missions for this zone include rescuing Wisp, collecting rings, so on and so forth. You know, the third mission does switch things up by having you rescue Wisps in order. What a revolution, but other than that, same as the rest really, except for the fact that these missions are the most annoying ones yet, solely because of the... Once again, the best part of these missions is that there are the character interactions, because you meet the whole team of Chaotix over the course of them, and it's basically just just watching a trio of siblings interact. Very good stuff, and relatable I guess. And that's for the boss, it's the worst one. What a shocker. A thing you'll notice with these bosses for the last 3 zones is that they're just literally reskins of the existing bosses from before, and that's being nice, at least for the other two, because this boss, dear god, is the same as the first boss, but this time you have to use a drill whisk to damage its cores or something, and then wail on it. And the problem is that not only do the cores have like a time limit where you can hit them with a drill, but you have to circle the drill whisk to the damn cores, and it's a goddamn nightmare and a half. Fuck this boss. Gotta say, despite this whole park being an evil plot,
The attractions are great.
yeah, thanks for saying it, by the way. I don't want to give Fleming any praise.
You're welcome. So, where could the next Wisp... Oh, never mind.
Yet another one of my favorite zones. Given that Sonic and water mix as well as ketchup on Alfredo pasta, you would think I hate the zone, but no, it's actually pretty good. The water sections become a lot more easier with a drill wisp, which actually works a lot better underwater because there's actual space for me to drill to. That, and it's not during a boss fight. It helps that I'm also not being constantly blasted with sound effects and music too. Anyways, the main wisp for this zone is a laser, and what does it do? Well... that. It's useful, don't get me wrong, but like Rocket, it's very much use it when the game indicates to do so thing for me. Did I mention that you can do some sick skits with this wisp if you tried hard enough, so it has that going for it. Eat my ass. The missions are more or less the same as last time. I'm not even gonna bother to explain them anymore, but the music, dude. As for the characters you meet in the zone, it's Big the Cat and Amy Rose. Big is a surprise, more so considering the fact that they only really bring him back for the funny these days. But Amy was bound to show up in this game, but I didn't really expect her to show up this late because I was expecting her to show up with Cream as early as Tropical Resort, but this works too. Besides, seeing them both of them together reminds me of Sonic Heroes, so you know that's a win in my books regardless. Playful banter ensues, Sonic basically prefers to be bitchless, and all is well. Oh, and the boss here is just a repeat of the Sweet Mountain boss with the seesaw ass map. Enough said.
I got called the roller coasters here, even with all the toxic pits all over the place.
Speak for yourself. I feel like I'm going to hurl just looking at them.
You go do that. As long as I get to cry.
What's with her?
Void.
What?
I miss my wife, Gemsticks.
Another zone that I like, but in terms of design, it's definitely one of the weaker ones. I mean, it's pretty fun given the fact it plays into the coaster aspect pretty decently, but it's more so the fact that there's just a lot of opportunities to die. The Skullhead on the roller coaster is the one they killed, there's various pits of toxic waste throughout the level, etc. Though it's not too hard to dodge these because you have the help with the Void Wisp. And this whip is interesting because not only is it basically an evil fucked up version of Pac-Man, but it's also exclusive to the DS version, like the Burst Wisp. They even changed the opening CGI movie to reflect this, so you can see them in glorious pre-rendered 144p. Isn't that great? As for how it plays, it's decent, though I often found my hands sweating like bullets when I have to use this wisp because I have to use this little shit above a pit sometimes, and I swear it controls like butter, and it'll sometimes go lower than I want to. But this could just be a case of me being bad at video games, so I'll let it slide. And the missions are actually worth talking about the zone because holy fuck did these consume my time, mainly the last one because I swear to god I always get so close to beating it but then I die or my time runs out. And next thing I know I beat the mission and a goddamn hour has passed. Whoops. That aside though, the plot this time basically involves meeting with Shadow and Omega. More Sonic Heroes rep, that's very nice. But basically you're just collecting data for them. It doesn't really end up helping them, but it's nice to see them interact, and I'm always down to see Shadow be supportive in his own weird way, rather than being the edgelord that this era was, you know, making him become. Ugh. And as for the boss here, it's a repeat of the Starlight Carnival boss. Probably made some people frustrated, but I think the boss is pretty fun and not that hard. I mean, you can also just literally eat the boss with the Frenzy, Void Wisp, whatever, in this boss fight, so isn't that peak? Also the music, dude, oh my god.
That red little shit has annoyed me for too long! Fire the beam! How the fuck?
Seems like there was an arm stuck in there.
Yeah, from the globe thingy, right?
You say that like I care.
Shut it! I still have one more trick up my sleeve.
Looks like everyone has been evacuated, and looks like we got a last shot in time.
You go on ahead, I've still got one more thing to take care of.
You better make it back alive. I need someone to play all the Sonic racing games with.
I will. Hopefully. This is it. The final fight. It's split into two parts, and with the first one basically seeing you running from Eggman and his brand new contraption in this top-down view. It's not exactly good, but if you follow the rings and just boost here and there, you'll escape from him easily. The game is very forgiving, and you're only really screwed if you get hit with no rings, so it's not like the asteroid coaster where it's riddled with one-hit kills. Plus, I can't really be mad at this part when the music slaps. I know that a lot of these tracks are just pulled from the console versions, but they're completely redone so they don't sound like a compressed mess on a DS, and as a result, I find myself just enjoying this version of the soundtrack a lot more. Not that the console versions have a bad soundtrack, but a DS version is simply better, which, you know, can be said for the whole game. As for the second part, this is basically the real fight, where Eggman and his dark mech basically use all the wisps against you, and you're supposed to boost into attacks to get the wisp back. It's a really cool idea for a final fight, especially the wisp attacks, though I wish the game explained this better, that you had to boost into a wisp to get them back, because I assume you just had to bop them or homing attack them at first. Not like it's very hard to figure out though, so But once you get the wisp back, it's time to finish the fight. So the game quite isn't finished yet, because we've still got the Chaos Emeralds to collect to really finish the story. So in similar fashion to Sonic 1 out of all things, you basically have to collect 50 more rings and then keep them until the end of the level. Once done, you play these half-fight special stages that make you collect a certain amount of these colored orbs or spheres during parts of the special stage. Nothing really special, but they're a neat little thing all things considered. Plus the music is a real earworm, who would have thought? As for the multiplayer, I've actually already talked about it during my big Win 5 video. I can't believe that video is like a year old now, what the hell? Crisis aside though, nothing's really changed from what I said in that video, but now I'm not trying to speed through covering games, so I can go a bit more in depth here. But basically, Colors DS multiplayer is basically just racing against another person, except they're a yellow orb instead of like another Sonic, I guess, but well, whatever. There's a ton of courses you can unlock for this mode by playing the game, basically. Though what kind of drags the mode down for me is that the levels are just not very good. I'm not sure about all of them, but the ones me and a friend played often had these really annoying platforming segments that just kind of slow the pace down to a crawl, and not to mention that there's these items that you can use too that are just plain annoying in a game like this. As a result, we just kind of opted not to use these items at all because it was just for the better. But negatives aside, the multiplayer is still a neat little feature, and while I'm not really fond of it, I could totally see myself dragging someone into this when I was younger. Now, how about we finish that story? That's the mother of all wisps?
Yeah, but she's all evil and corrupted.
You're telling me I have to spank that thing?
Please never say spank again.
I'm being for real. How am I supposed to beat that? So here it is, the final boss of this game. This is actually a tradition with these handheld Sonic games where, like in most Sonic games, getting all the emeralds gives you the ability to transform into Super Sonic, which is like this overpowered form, and it's neat and all, but I personally never really got much use out of that. But in Colors DS, Super Sonic is only ever usable in a special final boss, and I actually prefer it this way, because, you know, it gives me more of an incentive to actually get those damn gems. As for the fight itself, it's good, albeit kinda janky. The goal here is to huck these asteroids back at the Mother Wisp by charging into them, and then it's a matter of just charging into her during these 2D segments after that, which are kinda jank, but you get 3 shots at it before having to redo the whole process, so it's not too hard to handle. And once again, the music goes all fucking in. Once you've dealt enough damage, the Mother Wisp gets reverted back to her original form, and the world is saved. Does anyone think that the Mother Wisp looks like the King Jellyfish from SpongeBob, or is it just me? It's probably just me. Well, time to wing it. And that's Sonic Colors DS. All in all, it's a pretty good game. Hell, I put it up there as one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. I mean, yeah, it's got the issues. The game's like 2-3 hours long, but that's what I like about it. Like, I'm definitely showing my nostalgic bias for a DS by saying this, but I really just miss this era of gaming, you know, where handhelds weren't like these big consoles on the go, and that's cool and all, don't get me wrong, but I miss when developers had to like craft these brand new experiences when it came to making a handheld version of a game, with this being one of those examples. Like, a lot of people tend to shove handheld version of console games to the side, and I get that most of them aren't really of any quality, but it wouldn't hurt to at least try them before saying that, you know? And if you do, you might find a hidden gem in there, and Sonic Colors DS is one of those hidden gems. At least to me.
Holy shit, you actually made it.
Barely. Would have been a raise if it weren't for those wisps.
Well, we did save their planet, so your hunch really did help.
Yeah, I'm surprised it all worked out in the end.
Hey, by the way, do you know what happened to...
Don't know and don't care. See ya!
Hey, wait up!
Finally, we can relate. Our side by side, this is me. I knew all along we'd find some way to communicate.